My name is Woody Brown, and my title is Lean Process Improvement Manager. I work for a global medical device manufacturing company, or medical company. And in my role as Lean Process Improvement Manager, I find myself engaged in projects with aspects of lean or lean manufacturing or lean process improvement in all aspects of the company. So I find myself in different places around the States and different places in our locations in other countries as well. Lean is a philosophy, a set of tools and methods, if you will, for the elimination of waste within a process. At its core elements, that's what it's about. In any process, there's waste. In any process of producing a good or service, or it could be simply making dinner. There's a process of making dinner, right? Or there's a process for making a car, if you will, or some consumer good. Anything that there's a process, there's associated waste within those processes. And lean is a way of looking at those processes, applying tools and techniques to get people together to solve problems, to eliminate those problems. Lean, as in its generic form, if lean is about elimination of waste, that waste can be found in any process. So anytime there's a process of doing something, adding value to something for a customer's perspective, for example, there's waste associated in that. So even in a translation environment, or the work that is done by a translator as a supplier to a client like myself, that yes, there's absolutely endless opportunities for lean to apply. Translation is fascinating to me from a couple aspects. I never really had any appreciation of translation, a translation business, until I started doing business with one. So that's interesting to me. As an employee in a company that's a global company, I literally have people that I interface with in different countries, cultures, and speak different languages on a day-to-day basis. So the need for translations is huge. From a lean perspective, the value of standardization, standardizing work and work processes across those different cultures is extremely important, because there's waste associated with doing things differently in different countries or languages or cultures. So we are working hard to try and translate and communicate with certain standards, documents, training programs, and whatnot. Translations is not the primary element of my job and role. Over the course of about a year, we developed a lean training program to train internal people within our company. And I developed that program, I wrote that program, and as a global company, we now have people in many different countries and cultures that we would like to train in the same way. There's perhaps, if you think about it, there's a waste associated with non-standards. So we are standardizing a training program, if you will, by translating it into multiple languages, so that everyone in an operation role within our company gets the same basic training, even in multiple languages. So the need for the translation is critical. It's important. One of the things I've learned in the time I've been doing this work with foreign exchange is when you're trying to communicate with different people, what I'm finding is there's differences in language that I didn't really appreciate. Each language has its own differences in dialect or jargon or whatever. In a training program, for example, that's fairly low key. It's not, we're trying to train people to certain things. It's not precise work, if you will. So dialect turns out to be a big problem. I never really realized there were so many different dialects for Chinese or even German, for example, or Portuguese or Spanish or whatever. So that seems to be a huge challenge. When you have employees that work in both Brazil and Portugal, which dialect do you write and translate documents into? If they're strict documents to a compliance perspective, the solution is probably fairly easy or straight going. It's one and somebody makes a decision. But if you're doing something that you're just trying to communicate to people and get them to understand basic elements of something, picking the dialect is not so easy. Maybe we have to do both. Maybe we have to do somewhere in the middle or make adjustments. And I think that's a challenge. What I expect from a translation provider is service, number one, absolutely number one. When I give work out to a supplier, when I work to get work out to a supplier, I need them to be, I need their quality to be right. I need whatever I'm asking for, I need it to be done correctly. I need it to be done in a reasonable time. Usually I have a timeline to commit to, so I need my suppliers to commit to that time as well. And I need it to be at a fair price. A fair price is something that's fair to both parties. It's reasonable to expect to pay for goods and services, but I always tell suppliers that work for me, if you do a good job, you're usually rewarded with more work, and that's how we look at things, and that's how I've looked at things as far as cost and work go.